The Southern California landscape did not belong to law, logic, or government. It belonged to the 13. From the coastal docks of Long Beach to the high mountain corridors of Rowland Heights, SoCal was sliced into fierce, autonomous domains. Each lord commanded their own syndicate, gangs of hyper-aggressive arcade brawlers, rogue enforcers, and local street crews who held down every block, corner, and cabinet in their master's name. At the epicenter sat Southern Hills Golfland in Stanton, the neutral high command where no blood was drawn unless permitted by the laws of the realm. But out in the streets, ego and ambition were volatile fuels. The border friction. In the urban stretch along Harbor Boulevard, the line between Santa Ana and Westminster was always thin. Duck Dew, the locksmith of Westminster, stood atop his fortified high-rise, the Vault of Seals. Below him, 50 of his shadow trap minions moved like clockwork, laying invisible spatial runes across the pavement to expand his district's perimeter. "Push the boundary another 2 blocks, Duck commanded, his voice cold. "Santa Ana is quiet today. Take the territory." Before his syndicate could plant the seals, the concrete shattered. A massive kinetic shockwave tore through the alley, obliterating the trap runes instantly. Out of the smoke stepped Mr. Power, radiating a heavy, golden aura from the Port of Power in Long Beach, flanked by the ultimate genetic creation of the top players, Deathwish, the universal soldier of Santa Ana. Behind them stood the Santa Ana heavy hitters, a relentless crew clad in dark iron colors. "You're stepping across the line, Duck," Mr. Power growled, his knuckles crackling with raw energy. "I don't care about your fancy spatial traps. You try to squeeze Santa Ana, and I break the seal, and your neck." Duck Dew crossed his arms, eyes narrowing as his top enforcer, Clockwork, stepped forward from the shadows, adjusting his temporal gauntlets. "You bring brute force to a game of tactical geometry, Power," Duck sneered. "My traps were primed before you even stepped off the bus." "Then let's test 'em," a voice roared from behind. Sue Mighty and Shady K materialized on the rooftops above. Sue Mighty dropped down like a human meteor, smashing into the pavement between the two factions just for the sheer chaos of it. "Nobody is holding back today. If there's a fight, we're taking a piece of both of you." The air grew thick with lethal tension. Syndicate members drawn from every local arcade drew their weapons and charged their energy cells. No one took bullshit from anyone. A single insult meant an immediate, bloody brawl. Then, high above the chaotic alley on the roof of a 3-story parking structure, a lone figure stood in the shadows. Clad in a dark jacket, Mr. Wizard leaned against the concrete railing, taking notes on a glowing digital tablet. He didn't intervene. He never did. He just watched the frame data of the impending disaster unfold with a cold, calculating glance from afar. Mr. Wizard looked down at the gathering storm, muttered quietly under his breath, "Spacing is terrible, but the aggressive momentum is peak SoCal." The uncompromising Aegis. Meanwhile, up in Rowland Heights, Mike Watson was dealing with an internal dispute at the Iron Gate stronghold. 2 high-ranking captains from Combo Fiend's Torrance crew had pushed into Watson's territory without permission, attempting to scout his defense lines. Watson didn't call for backup. He didn't open a dialogue. He walked out into the middle of the street alone. "You're in my zone," Watson said, his voice dropping like an anvil. "We're just passing through, Mike," one of the Torrance scouts scoffed, dusting off his jacket. "Don't get your blood pressure up over a..." Boom! Watson moved so fast the air cracked. Before the scout could finish his sentence, Watson grabbed him by the throat, slammed him through the hood of an armored transport, and unleashed a point-blank execution combo that shattered the pavement beneath them. The second scout backed away, horrified by the sheer, unyielding brutality. "Talk stupid in my house again, and your whole crew gets buried under this gate," Watson spat, wiping his knuckles as the scout dragged his unconscious partner away. "Tell Combo Fiend to keep his dogs on a leash." Standing on the overhead pedestrian bridge, Mr. Wizard observed the beatdown, resting his arms over the railing. He glanced down at Watson, met his glare, and simply said, "Clean punish, Mike." 0 execution error. Watson didn't answer. He just grunted and walked back into his stronghold. The rise of the Crown. While small wars flared up between Westminster, Long Beach, and Torrance, everyone knew who held the absolute respect of the entire region. Deep within the sovereign keep of Los Angeles, Alex Valle sat quietly, meditating while 2 heavy broadswords rested across his knees. The rumors were true. Valle was the master of the grind. While others let their tempers flare over territory, Valet refined his style until he was virtually unbeatable. A massive holographic projector flickered to life in Valley's throne room, displaying the skirmish brewing between Duck Dew, Mr. Power, Deathwish, and Clockwork down in Orange County. Beside Valet stood Viscant, the telepathic sentinel, scanning the tactical variables in real time. "They're going to tear the Southern District apart if they keep measuring ego, Alex," Viscant said softly. "Shady K and Sue Mighty are already turning it into a three-way war." Valet opened his eyes. The room surged with a calm, overwhelming pressure, the sanctified neutral. "Let them burn off their steam," Valet said calmly, his voice echoing with undisputed authority. "They clash because they're hungry. But when the real storm arrives from the north and the east, they will fall in line. They know who holds the crown." Back on the streets of Santa Ana, the energy between Mr. Power and Duck Dew reached a boiling point. Deathwish took a low combat stance, his genetically enhanced mind calculating 37 distinct ways to dismantle Duke's trap network in under 4 seconds. Suddenly, a heavy, golden crest flashed in the sky above them, the mark of Valet. The spectral pressure hit every fighter instantly. The heavy aura forcibly dampened their energy pools, forcing both sides to hold their ground. Duck Dew lowered his hands and scoffed, stepping back into the shadows. "The king speaks without saying a word. We settle this another time, Power." "Whenever you want, locksmith," Mr. Power yelled back. "You know where to find me and Deathwish." As the factions slowly dispersed back into their respective castles, Mr. Wizard stepped out from an alleyway, stepping past Deathwish. He paused for a fraction of a second, glancing at the Universal Soldier's altered frame. "You're looking sharp, Deathwish," Mr. Wizard said quietly, without breaking his stride as he walked past into the fog. "Keep that execution tight. The main tournament hasn't even started yet."